Welcome to Failure to Stop Podcast. I'm Eric Tanzi. Off the turf. Bro, I'm just kidding. My dad will be with you in a second.
Wait, do your intro impression.
Oh, wait, your intro impression?
No, like the intro to the show.
Oh, Rad Kids Club?
No, off the charts violence.
Okay. Oh man, I forgot how to start it.
Welcome to the Failure to Stop Podcast channel. Listen, real quick before we start the show, I know this is a little bit silly, but Duke here's got a new YouTube channel. This is my son. He wanted to come in here real quick, and not make fun of me, but real quick, pitch your show and then get out of here so we can get to some adult stuff. Hurry up.
All right, me and my brothers have a show called Rad Kids Club. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. We go interview rad people and do all different kinds of action sports with them, like skimboarding and swimming and skateboarding and whole crazy stuff, and sometimes even like motocross. And again, you can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook, and Rad Kids Club.
Yep, TikTok. What do you guys got a shoot today? What's your shoot today?
Our shoot today is going to be how to get sponsored, like how to get sponsored. You got to work hard and stuff like that. And we're going to do a shoot with one of our favorite action sports photographers, Ed Burgess.
Sweet. Then tomorrow, what's your shoot tomorrow?
Tomorrow we are going skimboarding at we're doing Wakeboarding, that's it. We're doing wakeboarding
with a world champion.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Yeah, just gonna show you guys the ropes. Dude, I'm super proud of you guys. I think it's awesome. You guys started your own YouTube channel, Rad Kids Club. Go over there, like and subscribe if you have kids. You've got 2 episodes out. How was episode 2?
Episode 2, I think, might have been my favorite. Yeah. I don't know though. Like, it was a local, but the first one was also really fun. I don't know. It's hard to pick. Yeah. But I think it was really good.
All right, man. Well, go fix my camera, get out of here, and go do kid stuff while Dad does adult stuff. Today's show brought to you by ghostbed.com/Wolfpack and factormeals.com/Wolfpack50. Today we're covering President's son, Hunter Biden, convicted of a felony. But I think that's not even the craziest news this week. I think move it this way. Move that camera this way just a little bit. I think the craziest news this week, well, one, it's the end of the world as we know it. That's how I really wanted to bring in this show. Thank you, Duke. That looks great. We have nuclear war pending. There's a lot of propaganda out right now about whether Russia is just doing military exercises and how they've done this in the past. We'll kind of go through it and break it up. But I think it is as hyperbolic as it sounds. I think this is a big propaganda case that our media is spinning on us. I think the seriousness of what Russia is doing right now is far greater than what we're being led on to. And I'll show you my evidence. And then in the chats, you guys can debate it. I think the real debate here, though, that we have to get into is this Joey Chestnut fiasco. That's how I know it's the end of days. You know, when the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh, and he said in the end times that it was just going to be chaotic and hectic, and you weren't going to feel like you wanted to even be alive. It was going to be so bad. And that's how I felt with the breaking news that Joey Chestnut will not be competing at the Nathan's hot dog thing. I want to get all into that as well. So we've got a lot to cover on today's show, all this and more on today's Failure to Stop. Let's give it a proper intro. Take us away, Joshua.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday. This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
And I apologize for opening the show with my son on. I know it's probably not appropriate, but you know what? The kids work so daggone hard at what they're doing. I just want to see them be successful. Everything that they do, they're working with their own videographer, their own photographer, coming up with their own shoots. And I'm really just kind of taking a backseat to it. And as a father, I would like to say I'm proud. I managed really tightly their podcast. And once they left their podcast, Grommet Vomit, they actually gave their podcast to a friend because the friend didn't want to see it go away. But my kids wanted to do something more with YouTube. And so even though I'm a podcaster, I decided to dive into the world more of YouTube for them on their behalf. And they went and worked with their own photographers and videographers through Liquid Death shoots and Grom USA shoots and some of their other sponsor shoots. And they got with 2 of their photographers and convinced them to trade in the photo cameras for video cameras and to start shooting them. And this is something they did all on their own. And 11 and 9 years old. It's my 2 sons that are really taking it the horse by the reins, and then my 6-year-old is just kind of following in their footsteps. But they have just overwhelmingly surprised me at their effort, how they wake up and they're creative every morning. And so when he asked if he could pitch his YouTube channel, which is only like 7 days old, it's a week old today, on your show, how do you say no, Josh? How do I say no as a father? How do I say no?
You gotta say yes. Well, the other thing is, I can kind of say, because I'm unbiased, because they're not my kids. They're really good. It's not just something that for kids to watch, obviously, but I just watched the second video right before we started, and I watched every minute of it because every minute of it's entertaining. They're rad. They're doing tricks and things that there's no way that I could do that stuff. So it's not like you're promoting, watch my kids paint this wall and we can watch the paint dry together. So watch my kids do this amazing thing that they might win Olympic medals for in the future.
Isn't it crazy? Like when I didn't know he landed that varial flip down the 4 stair. So when I watched the second episode, I was like, yo, when did you hit the varial flip on the 4 stair like that? He also did this really long down rail board slide. And then Augie hit that no-handed 360 revert over coping, which, those are all things that I didn't really get to see live in action. So when I saw episode 2, and I saw, I'm like, dude, these kids are showing up for these episodes, man. When they get the videographer out there, they step up their game. They don't get nervous. They don't back down. They go hard, and that's super cool. And they got a shoot lined up tomorrow with a wakeboarder, professional wakeboarder. She's 15. I think we're traveling like 2 hours, and we're gonna get on a boat and go wakeboarding. And they're gonna learn how to wakeboard. And then Sunday they're gonna go riding bull. So different adventure every week, different episodes every week. There's some how-to episodes in there, some trailers in there. I think they're doing a how to get sponsored at an early age video today. So I'm dropping them off for that while I go do jujitsu. So I'm excited to see that. But anyway, I just want to apologize for that, but not really. You know what I mean? I'm apologizing for taking up your time, but I don't think it's a waste of your time. I think maybe it inspires you to put some more responsibility into your kids, because I'll tell you what, man, if it wasn't for the skating world, I would still be coddling my kids. And I see it a lot. With my kids, I go to all their events with my kids, and my kids have more freedom, but they've earned that freedom. But it's crazy, like how, for example, we were at a birthday party this weekend, and my daughter, she's 2, was wanting to climb up the slide, and this dad wouldn't stop freaking out. He was like running over, and he was like, "Is somebody going to get this girl? She's trying to climb up the stairs." And I was like, "Hey man, like that's the 3rd time you've gone over there. Like she can climb up the stairs by herself. She's good." And he's like, "This is a tall ladder." I'm like, she can do it, man. Like, I think as a society, we've kind of grown to not give our children enough credit. They are better than you think. Your kids are smarter than you think, and it's okay for them to fall. Like, as long as they're not going to die, it's okay for them to fall. Matter of fact, my daughter did fall off of that ladder, and everybody was blown away that she didn't lose her shit. She fell down. She looked at me with these panicky eyes, and I said, "Got to be careful." And then somebody was like, "Man, I would be running over there." And somebody else was like, "Well, that's what happens when you have 5 kids." But really, it wasn't like that for any of my kids. I mean, that's the way I was raised. I was raised by that with my parents. My parents didn't coddle me very much, if at all. And so I think that was just naturally how I raised my kids. But I love it. So I don't know. Maybe it inspires your kids to get outside, do more, get off the screens. And so for that, I'm not sorry. But for wasting 9 minutes of your life, for those of you who don't have kids, I am sorry. Anyway, speaking of bad parents and bad parenting, I feel like addiction is hard to deal with, and it's easy to get into, and you can get into it in a lot of different ways. I had a really good friend growing up in high school, was a big Christian kid. He's part of the Christian club, Bible club. He was cool. He played guitar. He was in like a Christian punk band. Really nice guy. Everybody loved him. And tragically and funny enough, there was a sleepover for his birthday. I was there, but I had left early. And there was one of those balls that you put in a basket. Remember back in the old days in the 90s when there was these baskets full of balls in every grocery store, these marbled, bowling ball sized bouncy balls in a big basket.
Oh yeah, the one, there's like 10 million of them in the whole thing. You take one and if you dump it over, then you'll take forever to clean them up.
Well, they're just big balls. They're just big balls. They were like $1. It was like every grocery store had it. It was like a big cage.
Those ones. Oh yeah, like the dodgeballs. Like dodgeball.
Yeah, they were kind of like dodgeballs, and they look marvelous. Well, anyway, there was one of these out in his yard, and so he slings the door open to his house, and he runs out, and he goes to kick it, and he goes to kick this ball. However, the ball was not one of those marbled balls in a cage. It was an actual bowling ball, and it shattered all of the bones in this kid's leg, from the foot through his knee, through his thigh, just everything shattered. So imagine running out of your house, 14, 13 years old, and kicking a ball as hard as you can, flat-footed, and it's a bowling ball, as hard as you can. And the kid could not go back to school all the way through his senior year. He never went back to school. He had this big halo. He almost lost his leg. It went septic a few times. They threatened to amputate it, grafting all these bones. I mean, it was just this 3 or 4 year ideal. And by the end of high school, the kid was hooked on painkillers. And I've never been able to find him since. I have looked on YouTube, Facebook. I've tried to find everywhere. The kid doesn't exist. He's empty. I've gone to all of his friends, all of our prior friends, and all of the friends that ran with him suffer from addiction as well. And these were all good, God-loving kids. And I think that the guy that I'm referring to here kind of held that bond together. So what I'm saying is that he had good parents. He had a good mom, good dad. But I think when something like that happens to you and you get caught up in the medical system, obviously with the painkillers and the pain meds, it's easy to fall into an addiction. I know some guys in the military came home, had some PTSD issues, got issued like different, like not even crazy stuff, just like, anxiety medicines and everything like that. And I've watched them go from bad to extremely bad. And these were good guys that are now addicts. So I look at addiction with empathy, a lot of empathy. But at the end of the day, there is some addicts out there that suffer from parental illness. And the parents are what you call like facilitators. What do they call it when a parent helps your addiction? Enablers. They're enablers. It happens, right? And listen, I got 5 kids, right? So the chances of me having one of these children is probably pretty great, pretty grand. I don't know. I hope not. And I hope I make the right decisions. But I'll tell you what, I will work to make good decisions. I will read all of the books. I will talk to other people who have gone through this, and I will do something. But I can promise you this. My kids won't live a life of addiction, and will not be celebrated, nor will it be tolerated. It is just something we will work through. I won't give them money. I won't bail them out of jail. I won't hide what they have done. I will work through it until the addiction passes. Now, there's a lot of pastors that I know, police officers that I know, community leaders that I know, whose children live with addiction unchecked. And I've always had a problem with that, because you've spent more time in your life. I preach about it all the time, right? I tell you guys all the time. Personal growth doesn't mean anything if your family life is shit. And I've always thought, like, how can you be a leader if you cannot lead your family? Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one, right? That's a hard pill to swallow. I cannot physically go to church or go anywhere and be led by somebody whose family life is shit. I can't do it. I can get away. I can get over other things, but if you cannot manage your family, you have no business trying to manage me. If you're a therapist and you are going through a divorce, you have no business therapizing me over marriage counseling. You don't have any business doing it. If you can't manage your own household, then don't manage other people's lives. That's just something I've lived by. I actually got into it on one of these podcasts with a therapist who was actually going through divorce. I said, well, you should leave therapy and stop giving people advice and go seek your own advice until this is all worked out and you've overcome it. And then you can go and teach people how to overcome it. But I don't see how you give people advice when it's not even working out for you. I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit harsh. I say all that to say the President Biden's son thing, I don't want to be ruled by somebody who can't rule their own children or keep their own family in place. And this is, we've said this on this show prior to this, that his mistakes are really bad. FBI credentials being left on. I mean, if Hunter Biden was in a Disney movie when we were teenagers, he would be the spoiled, rotten brat, evil kid who needs a whooping. Do you know what I mean? Every Disney movie that has that one kid where you're just like, somebody spanked that motherfucker. Hunter Biden needs a spanking. He's a bad seed. He's been given everything. I mean, he went to an overly religious cult style college that separates men and women, and he still found a way to get some chick pregnant there. Was that right? Right? Didn't he knock her up at his Jesuit college? I mean, everywhere this guy goes, which he's been having, everything has been given to him on a silver platter, and he's fucked it all up. Now you got to give credit to Trump's kids. They've been getting everything on a silver platter, and it doesn't look like they fucked up too much. I mean, every kid fucks up, but I mean, this is beyond reasonable. Leaving your FBI credentials on an airplane, stealing a car. It's no, he didn't steal a car. He rented it. He rented it and didn't return it for like 8 months. He rented it in California while living on the streets doing crack in a tent city, only to get in this rental car and leave it on the side of a highway in Arizona somewhere, if I remember the story correctly, which they found a crack pipe and lots of crack baggies and more credentials and his ID card. And they still allow him to be at the White House. I said this last summer, remember, or over Christmas. Remember Hunter Biden's fucking white boy Christmas, where he was geeking. Everybody saw it. It was on the laughing side. Why is he allowed in the White House? Because the president tolerates it. Because this is what he has reaped. He is sowing what he reaped. He's a bad parent. I'll argue that they're in it together at this point. Yeah. At a certain point, we could do the bad parenting, but at this point, when he's got the deals with Burisma and all this other money that's been funneled through the family, they're all complicit in it. Every one of them. They're enabling it. Everybody's enabling everybody else. It's just one big crime thing after another. But like, we go back to because we're going to talk about it in a second. He was found guilty, but we have a sitting president that there's a lot of things that are coming out about the testimony that he was given that was under in close quarters. And they're saying that this testimony has been edited, and there's things about the transcripts that aren't true. They want to make sure that, because if there's things in the transcripts that they deleted out of these transcripts, like if I'm trying to answer a question, it takes me 2 seconds to come to the answer versus it takes me 25 seconds to come to the answer. And it takes me 25, 30 seconds, 40 seconds to come to the answer all the time. Shows a mental decline. You have a sitting president that they've said that he can't sit. He's unfit to sit trial. He's not mentally capable to sit trial, but he's mentally capable to run the country. You got that going on. Then all of this Hunter Biden stuff going on. I mean, how can the Department of Justice, on one hand, prosecute all the January 6th stuff, all of the other stuff they prosecute, and on the other hand, just look a blind eye to this? How? Do you think Lorenz got a good point here? Do you think that the reason why? Do you think that they were like, well, we'll let Trump be guilty? We found Trump guilty, so now we kind of have to let Biden be found guilty, or it's just too unfair?
Well, if you remember, there was a sweetheart deal for this whole case around the gun charges. There's a sweetheart deal that once it came to light, then the judges that got involved, they're like, no, there's way too much. We're not going to give you immunity for stuff that has nothing to do with this case. That's unheard of. No, that's not going to happen. And then they went to trial, and lo and behold, now he's guilty of it. So yeah, I could see that. I also could see that this is a distraction from the other thing that we're going to talk about today. And I would say that it is a big distraction to the other thing. And you could say this is the olive branch. We hung Trump with this one. We're going to hang Biden with the other. But it's not the same. It's not even anywhere remotely close to the same. The Trump one is a state trial trying to go after things that happen on a federal thing that has nothing to do with the state. They made up their own stuff, then went from what a misdemeanor was into every bit about that is a sham. Now, on this form, that everybody fills out before you go to buy a weapon. There are requirements that you have to do on this form, including not lying on the form. So when you go to fill out this form, if you're actively using crack cocaine, that is a disqualifier. And if you
Now,
lie
some
about
would
it on the
say,
form,
though,
that's a problem.
Some would say that that is an infringement on your Fifth Amendment right. Forcing you to admit on a federal document that you've committed a felony.
Am I forcing you, though? No one's got a gun to your head telling you to fill out this form so you can go buy a gun so you can put a gun to my head.
That's a fair
He
point.
voluntarily went to go get a. Why does he need a gun in the first place? He has Secret Service protection all the time. He has presidential credentials.
The reason he should have a gun is because he's in America, and everybody in America should have a gun.
Touche.
Everybody. I mean, listen, like everybody should have the right to bear arms. Like, I don't know that everybody should bear arms, but I think everybody should have the right to do it. Also, I don't know, like, I think his argument in court was that he was sober for 11 days and therefore he wasn't addicted at the time that he bought the gun. However, he bought the gun and then used it in a drug deal shortly thereafter. I believe the rumor has it. Again, going back to the form, making you, I think that's an argument worth having. Should the federal government be able to force you, like, hey, you want to carry a gun, you have to tell us if you've committed a felony or not. Can you not plead the Fifth, or should you not be able to plead the Fifth?
So here's the awesome thing about our judicial system, Eric, is we have a thing called precedent. We can go back and look and see how we have done things historically. Historically, when someone has lied on this form, what have we done? Historically, when someone has done this, what have we done? And that's the problem. That's one of the big issues when they say everyone on the right's having a problem with the justice system. It's exactly, we have a problem with the justice system because historically we've been operating under this one, like this form, this constitution, these laws, these Bill of Rights, these things that we fall under. And then now we're just going to make stuff up. We're going to go do our own thing. And we willy-nilly just make things up. We're just doing our own kind of thing. It's just, it makes it hard to have trust in things. It makes it hard to have continuity in things. It makes it hard to historically be able to go back 5-10 years from now and go, look, somebody, yeah, they were on crack cocaine and they were addicted. That's a sad story, but they were trying to get a gun, and we have laws that say that you have to fill that form out, and on that form you have to admit if you're doing this, and if you don't, then that's the reason why these. So,
well, let me ask you this then: if you have a marijuana card, would you do?
Yep.
Well, allegedly you might. I'm not going to make you incriminate yourself, but technically, would you not be able to carry a gun? Not possess a gun because you have federally illegal drugs. Now, I know on the state level it's legal for you to have that, but federally it's still a crime. It's still considered a drug.
Well, like carrying a firearm to begin with, there are things from the law.
That's carried to own. I should say to own. Should you be able to own a firearm though that you are taking federally illegal substances, according to the paperwork?
So on the paperwork, if you're using marijuana, that's a disqualifier?
Yeah, well, it's pretty loosely written. We can, in fact, look it up for me really quick. Firearms, the form that you fill out when you buy a firearm, but it says illicit drugs. Like, are you using illicit drugs? So, I guess technically, and I believe that's like the exact wording of it is illicit drugs. But you can look that up for us.
So federally, if you're going after it federally, I would say federally, then as the way the law sets now, you're not allowed to, because federally it's still a Schedule I narcotic. However, in the state's going to say, well, so this is where it goes back to the Biden charges and the Trump charges, and then you go back to the Trump charges. The Trump charges come from federal charges. They come from things that happen with the federal government that are rules and regulations with the federal government, have to do with the money and with things like that, which is different from the state. Whereas the state says here in Colorado, marijuana is illegal, where the federal government says it's not. So in the state, you can have it. Now, if the FBI decides to kick down my door or kick down anybody else's door, there's that, who has more jurisdiction, the state or the federal government. But back to this, the part of the background, part of this form is 2A, right? People are going to say, I'll argue that any form, any type of thing that you have to do that stops you or slows you down from owning a weapon is an infringement on that right. It slows it down. So having the form, having the background check to begin with is an infringement on the right. However, I understand that there are a lot of people in the world that don't understand how to operate a firearm or understand that, hey, if I point this at people and pull the trigger, bad things can happen. And therefore, we have to go through these background checks. I'll concede with a background check, but with the background check, you have to understand that part of that is to make sure people that are going through treatment that maybe have schizophrenia, that maybe they shouldn't have a weapon because they can't trust themselves to be safe around weapons. So don't give them a weapon, because if they can't trust themselves to be safe around the weapon, we're not going to give them a weapon, be safe around themselves or somebody else. So I kind of have to concede with the background check to a certain extent. So we have to, at some point, we have to draw the line. We can't keep moving the goalpost on things is more or less what I'm trying to get at.
I mean, I'm more of like a fundamentalist. Like, I just think like you have to go by the Constitution, and I'm a constitutionalist. And so if you want to change things or have things added to the Constitution, then you should amend them, and you should go through the due process of amending those to make it. But it's a fun debate worth having. I want to go back to some of these comments here in the chats, because the chat folk are on fire today. Thank you guys so much for being here. Loren, Brandon C, Florida, David J, Michael Hendricks. But Michael Hendricks says the marijuana card hose people with 4,473 forms. You can no longer fill one out, and if you have a card and purchase, which is highly recorded, then you can get smacked. And then he goes on to say, no exemption for marijuana in marijuana legal states. Now, somebody else called CA in the live chats says, per my state, you can have guns with a medical marijuana card. You just cannot purchase guns if you have a medical MJ card. Sad face. Tyler S says, brings up always a good point. Honestly, alcohol is way more dangerous drug compared to weed. I'll agree with you there. I'm not going to argue there, but I think what happens is that, or what the point of this is that he's getting hemmed up on a felony where he was kind of forced to admit, and then if you're in addiction, are you even in a place to fill out one of those forms to begin with? It all just seems kind of nonsensical to me, because, an addict is never going to really tell the truth. So I don't know if you can hold them to such a high standard, I guess you would say, when purchasing a firearm, especially when they're not in their right state of mind and they're not using the full brain. They're only using the front side of the brain, the frontal lobe of the brain. Yep. When they're thinking. So listen, am I glad that Hunter Biden is getting his comeuppance, and hopefully he's getting his comeuppance because of the totality of it. I think it's crazy that they just, that this was the straw that broke the camel's back, if you will. But I mean, there was so many other things that he should have been busted for that I can't really feel bad for the kid.
Here's where especially with the
pedophile like video stuff that's out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying it was because we don't know, but it's still on the fringe. Like, it still looks really bad. Him fucking his brother's wife after, the widow. I mean, come on, dude. This guy's a piece of shit.
I say that you still have to hammer him, and here's why. If we change we change the roles. It's not Hunter Biden that lied on this form. It's the shooter in Uvalde that lied on this form.
Okay, fair.
You have the families of Uvalde just filed suit against UPS, FedEx, because they say that they enabled the shooter to get the weapon because they helped transfer the weapon. So
should we get to sue the parents for enabling their kid to be a piece of shit?
Exactly.
Oh wait, not the Uvalde victim's parents. I'm talking about the Uvalde shooter.
Because, for the Uvalde, next thing we're gonna have to sue God because he put oxygen on the earth, and if he didn't have oxygen, then she couldn't breathe.
I don't understand why we go over and beyond trying to find like all these other things. Like, the blame here is the shooter and the shooter's parents and the shooter's family. I mean, personally, I think if you raise a school shooter, then your entire bloodline suffers for it. Like, you guys all go to prison for it. It's your fault. You should have kept that motherfucker in check some way or another. Like you never let
Yeah.
somebody get to the point where they're like an active shooter on children. Obviously that's hyperbolic and insanity, but I'm an insane person. I see student at best. That's why I say like you shouldn't hang on every word. I'm only giving you something to talk about while you're in your meat wagon or your police car. You don't have to agree with me, but it's fun to get the debate started. And at least there's the more you know. Go ahead and read this article.
This is funny. This happened. He was just convicted. So it's not even a question of whether it happened or not. Hunter Biden was convicted on Tuesday of 3 felony charges related to the purchase of a revolver in 2018. When prosecutors argued that the president's son lied on a mandatory gun purchase form by saying he was not illegally using or addicted to drugs. Not the prosecutors argued. That's what he was convicted of. Yeah, you could say argue like the media wants to try to even put stuff on this. Hunter Biden, 54, stared straight ahead and showed little emotion as the verdict was read. After jury deliberations lasted only 3 hours over 2 days in Wilmington, Delaware, he hugged his attorneys and smiled and kissed his wife, Melissa, before leaving the courtroom with her. The other thing about this whole trial that starts to really anger me is we have footed the bill for his mom to fly back and forth to babysit the son in Delaware on trial and her husband, the president, while he was over doing D-Day stuff in Europe. So she flew back and forth and we paid the bill for all of that. So you're welcome.
Yay. Brandon Seafleur says he has an older brother. He can disagree with on just about everything, and I can't change that. I'm his brother. And if he doesn't, let me reread that. I have an older brother. I can put it. I can't. I don't understand that part. But he basically what I think he's trying to say is that he disagrees with his brother on just about everything, and he can't change that he's his brother. If he does something student, he should not be locked up. That's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous statement. Obviously, it was a hyperbolic statement. Do I really feel like you should? No, but I mean, like in theory, the weight of the world. If your brother was to ever shoot up kids, I think the weight of the world should fall on your shoulders. On a personal level, like, damn, what did I do wrong as a brother? What did my mom do wrong? What did my dad do? Like, what could we have done better? I think there should be some consequence. I mean, if any of my kids, if my little brother did something crazy like that, or God did anything wild like that, I would hold myself at least somewhat guilty of, what could I have done to prevent my own family, my own blood from doing this? Could I have been a better brother? Could I have empathized with him better? Or could I have had more conversations? I don't know. But do I think you should get locked up? In reality, no, I don't. It was a hyperbolic statement. Again, coming from a C student who is just saying shit on a podcast and trying to give you the news as I see it. So yeah, I'll give it to you on that one, Brandon. I don't think you should be locked up. I'm not above admitting to that. Let's go on to this next story though. And here's one that I don't think I'm being hyperbolic on. Oh, you want to do the Joey Chestnut? Let's do nuclear war. I want to talk about the propaganda of nuclear war, and then we'll end it with Joey Chestnut. Before we do that, though, I want to get these ad reads out of the way before you do something that you'll regret. Because I think after these next two stories, I don't know what you do. I don't know if you go and build a bunker. I don't know if you end it. You just say like the world is over. Joey Chestnut's not competing this year. I'm done with life. We're all going to have to deal with this in our own special ways. Maybe like a samurai where you stab yourself in the stomach and have your best friend cut your head off. I don't know. So let me get the ad reads out of the way before we fall into that trap. And before you do, support those who support our show like GhostBed, ghostbed.com/Wolfpack50. Woke up this morning, studied for this show on my massage topper, getting that shoulder. So it's one of my favorite features of the GhostBed massage topper is it inflates on one side. And it's almost like a softball, and it inflates with air, and it gets right up underneath your shoulder blade, and it'll kind of pop your back. It feels so damn good. You got to breathe right there. You got to and just relax and let that thing just push your shoulder until you just exhale. And I mean, it's just like, thank you, God. I don't know. I think it's something in jiu-jitsu that's jacked up my shoulder blade back there. Not jiu-jitsu jacked up my shoulder blade, but I'm real tight back there for whatever reason. And that just loosens me right up. So anyway, I've almost gotten almost every morning where I'm just looking for that feeling, that release of and when I feel like my day is complete. But right now you can go to ghostbed.com/Wolfpack, get that massage topper, throw it right on. You don't have to have a ghost bed to have the ghost bed topper. It plugs in, right? Goes onto your nightstand. You can run it with your phone. You can travel with it. It comes with this cooling sheet that goes over it. It's really nice. It comes in a really nice travel package, all the things, but you can also get the adjustable base, the full ghost bed, the ghost bed pillow, which I don't travel without. Head over to ghostbed.com, use that promo code Wolfpack right now. Check them out today. And then factormeals.com. You want to get lean and mean like this? You want to look good for 4th of July? You want to have that hot boy summer? Get up on that Factor Meals, meal planning to the next level. Chef prepared, fresh and never frozen meals delivered right to your door so that you don't have to do all that meal planning. You want to go protein heavy and get jacked? Get protein heavy, dude. That's what my brother's on right now. My brother's up on that protein heavy, he says he's gained like 7 pounds. Trying to get swole, going from like 130 to 142, something like that. They also got now he's a school teacher and a coach. So he loves this meal planning because he just takes it with him to school, throws it in the old microwave, 2-minute microwave, peasant microwave that you have at your school, public school system. It'll still get you right going on there. Ooh, what is that? What is that?
These are new, ready to blend smoothies. I'm gonna have to probably order some.
Yo, why haven't they sent me that yet? They always send me the new stuff.
Enjoy.
Oh, I will be sending an email to our rep here soon because not happy
Mango,
about
pineapple,
that.
peaches, banana, chia seeds, strawberries, blueberries, fall seeds, cherries, acai, kale, dragon fruit. I mean, all kinds of stuff in there.
I love Factor Meals, dude. Just going on that website, they got breakfast, lunch, dinner options so that you don't have to meal prep all week. You can just shove your refrigerator full of these things on the go. If you're a lawyer, if you're a cop, if you're a school teacher, all that time you could be spending with your family instead of cooking over the stove and separating. Now's the time. Get in shape. Do it with Factor Meals. It's so easy. It's literally the easiest thing you can do to get in shape, because everything's taken care for you. All you have to do is go to the website, factormeals.com, promo code Wolfpack50 or /Wolfpack50, factormeals.com /Wolfpack50. Pick out your meals, get started, 50% off your first order, and start eating clean right now. They're going to do it for you. And the meals are absolutely freaking delicious, man. That bacon ranch chicken with the green beans, the garlic green beans. Yo, dude, I freaking love that meal. My wife actually got mad at me because I ordered too many of them. She's like, you got to eat something different, but it's over that rice and the gravy. It's so good. But go to factormeals.com /Wolfpack50. 4th of July is right around the corner. You want to get looking mean. You want to look clean so that you can eat those hot dogs. And I've been saying this ad for almost 2 months now that I was specifically dieting. I have said this, go back to every fucking episode that I have done this ad read. And I have said that the only reason I was dieting and trying to get lean and mean is so that on 4th of July, let me move my mic, that on 4th of July, I could sit back, watch Joey fucking Chestnut and eat my fucking hot dog with the chili and all the accoutrements and not feel shamed about it because I worked my fucking ass off to get there. And now he's not going to be there. Joey Chestnut is out of the 2024 Nathan Hot Dogs. And look, you guys blow me up on Facebook already about it. I'm going to defend him to the end. He's a 17 world champion. Show some respect. So what? He gets another sponsor. So what? The man has consumed more hot dogs in 17 years than you've consumed with your entire bloodline in its entire history. So what if he wants to switch over to vegan for a little while? 17 world champion. I think he fucking deserves it. That's just me. I see the Pepsi Cola car in the Coca-Cola 500 every year. I see rockstar energy athletes competing at the Monster Energy Drink X Games, brought to you by Monster Energy. Okay. I see bowling athletes with all their sponsors on there, brought to you by whatever, poker tournaments. All I'm saying is that Joey Chestnut deserves a little bit more respect. He has given it all. And you let the media drag him through the dirt on this one, and you have not even heard his side of the story. And my 4th of July is fucking ruined. I don't care. How about this, Brandon? Mr. fucking sharpshooter over there, taking everything I say fucking seriously all the goddamn time. How about this? I hope we get nuked by Russia before 4th of July, because I don't want to live in a world where I can't sit back and eat a hot dog and watch Joey Chestnut do his thing on 4th of July. That is the only, I fought for this country just for that moment. It's the only, it's one of the most, as a drinking bro of the last 15, 16 years of my life, my first fucking podcast job ever with the drink. You don't think that Joey Chestnut just doesn't have just a whole left ventricle of my heart? That he occupies that space? And for you guys to just bail on him like that over vegan hot dogs? Fuck out of here, Nathan. Fuck out of here, Nathan. Let the man have his day. Let the man have his day. Now go ahead. Let's argue about it. And then I got to get into this nuclear thing.
Yeah. I will say it's Nathan's hot dogs. It's not Ballpark Hot Dogs.
I don't care.
National
It's the
Championship.
Coca-Cola 500. And there's a Pepsi car in it. There's a Home Depot car in it.
There are quite a so when it comes to sponsorship and things like that, when you have two competing sponsors in the same area, whoever has the majority say in what,
how is that any different than the Coca-Cola 500?
It's Coca-Cola 500 will dictate how big of a size that you can put that Pepsi logo on the side of the car.
Bullshit. The Pepsi Cola car is the fucking Pepsi Cola car.
I watch a lot of weird shit. And one of the things I go down, because I used to be a NASCAR fan, was NASCAR weird sponsorship things. Rowdy Energy Drinks was an energy drink thing, and the guy that drove for, I can't think of his name, his son drives and midget stuff, but he had an issue with his own sponsorship because it was his company was sponsoring his own car, so there were events that he couldn't participate in because of other things like that. They let him agree. They let Nathan participate in a Labor Day hot dog eating contest that was taped for TV, as long as the other hot dog brand wasn't mentioned. And a rep for the Major League of Eating, MLE, which Nathan sanctions, runs up to the event, said the organizers bent over backwards to meet Chestnut's various other demands, but they drew the line.
If he was LeBron James, the NBA would fucking bow down to him.
But
if
they drew the line.
Chestnut was gay or had some kind of weird identity, they would fucking make a way to keep him there. If he was Joey Chestnut, they would let him sling dildos down his throat live on TV. Guarantee you. But because he wants to fucking smash pound vegan, how about Nathan's make some vegan hot dogs for the guy?
Here we go. There's a marketing
I don't know.
tool.
All I'm saying is I think it's unfair. I think it's fucking stupid. And there's not, I get it, guys. You guys have already hit me up on Facebook. I've heard you guys. I love you. We're all still friends. I'm not going to lose friends over to Nathan. Fuck it. Yes, I will. Fuck you. And fuck whatever argument you have. I don't want to be your friend. I don't want to be your friend anymore. If you don't, I just think Joey, like, we owe it to Joey. Does anybody even yell USA on 4th of July for anything other than Joey Chestnut winning another championship over some fucking skinny Asian dude? You know what I'm saying? It's like watching live. It's like watching Rocky IV every fucking year. USA, USA, USA. Look what he's done for you. Not ask what have you done for not ask what Joey Chestnut has done for you, but what have you done for Joey Chestnut? And the answer is fucking nothing, man. No. You guys did nothing. And in this trying time when the world's at, maybe it's work. Joey Chestnut was there during COVID, slinging fucking meat dogs down his throat. He was there for you. And now in the midst of nuclear war, you guys are going to bail on Joey? You should be ashamed. Every one of you. Every one of you should be ashamed. I hope this fucking cruiser with badass missiles in Russia just wipes us all off the mat. I think they should do it. I think they should wait, though. Let Nathan's make the right decision. And if by the bell ring of the Nathan's Eating hot dog contest, Joey Chestnut isn't sitting up there.
Oh, your mic cut out.
The red button. That bell rang for them to begin the.
It switched to the wrong mic.
This is ridiculous. I've been hacked.
All I'm saying is when they ring the bell for the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, if Joey Chestnut isn't there, that should be the sign for Putin to hit the red button and seek vengeance upon this country who has obviously going to hell. And
your mic just cut out again right at the end. It cut out. I don't know why he keeps cutting.
Fuck the world. Fuck the world. Is it the right mic at least?
Nope, we're on the wrong mic now. We have audio, but we're on the wrong mic. We're being hacked live.
I am.
This is a live show. We're
good
live.
Now? Are you good now?
Yeah, we're good now.
All I'm saying, again, for the third fucking time, is that when the bell rings and it's the start of Nathan's hot dog. What?
I'll just put my hands up so we know it's not me messing with it.
Okay. If Joey is not there at the table, that should be the sign for Putin to hit the red button and just end it. Now let's talk about the propaganda. Let's get serious. The propaganda behind the U.S. Navy shadowing a Russian boat off the Florida coast. Everything in the media says that this is like a routine thing. It's not a routine thing. That's propaganda. No. In the same weeks that the United States, and we covered this last week, I said it was going to be a problem when the United States allowed Ukraine to then fire missiles into Russia or to take action offensively against Russia. And Putin started having nuclear drills. They started having drills inside of Russia on what to do for nuclear attack. I told you guys last week, I said, that's not good. That is not good, folks. That is not good. When I was serving in special operations and we would start doing mock-ups and workups and the teams would go into ISO and isolation prep, the ODAs, I was like, well, that's not something around the world is happening. Something's not good. If that team is going into ISO and they're starting to collect things for sand tables and whatnots, something's going down somewhere in the world. These boys are about to go get into a mix. Same as when they start floating boats towards Cuba with hypersonic nuclear missiles on it, when subs go missing again, which that is our biggest threat to the United States, by the way. They don't ever want to talk about it, but Russian subs are the biggest threat to America. Talk to any submariner and they will tell you that their mission is one of the hardest in the military because they have to chase Russian subs all over and that they get extremely close and they have weird underwater battle games that aren't really games with Russia. Very scary stuff. And I'm not being hyperbolic and I'm not being crazy right now, folks. Like, this is real news. I'm telling you right now that if you look at our last week's episode, and I told you that Russia was not happy that we gave Ukraine permission to start launching missiles into Russia, and they started hosting nuclear drills, and China started surrounding Taiwan. I am telling you right now that this drill that Russia is doing off of the coast, I'm telling you, is not good. And it is propaganda. It is not a drill. This is a show of force. This is a threat. This is a Bay of Pigs scenario. This is, you're about to fuck around and find out.
I have a question. It's Ukraine is at war with Russia, correct? I'm just going to try to follow in here. So why is Ukraine asking us for permission to fight back at the war?
Because we fund them, and we can say, if you do this outside of this, we're not going to fund you anymore. And I think they have to be careful for NATO reasons, probably too.
So we're paying for a war,
for sure.
Okay, so we got that clear. So a spokesperson from the Department of Defense and the Pentagon says there may be some aircraft deployments or flights in the region. Russian deployments are part of routine naval activity, and we are not concerned by Russia's deployments, which pose no direct threat to the United States. This is in an article from Newsweek, and in this article from Newsweek, there is an ad for an article from Newsweek. Russia's prepared to strike NATO F-16s. So someone seems to think that this seems to be a problem. And for someone to say, oh, this is a routine thing, this happens all the time. Well, it did. It happened back a couple years ago. And they said that the boats were operating in an unsafe manner. So spy boats were off the coast a couple years ago. And then just last year in January, we had spy boats off the coast of Hawaii from Russia. Again, I got to be very careful about how much I emphasize how much of a strategic military outpost Hawaii is for the United States in the Pacific theater. Back in the 40s, it was a strategic outpost because we didn't have the ability to fly planes the distance that we do now. We didn't have the ability to send missiles the distance that we do. So back then, it was a strategic port because we could put supplies there. You can get back and resupply. We have dry docks there. We could fix ships and stuff like that instead of having to go all the way back to California or Oregon or Washington to get our ships fixed. You could get them done in Hawaii. Today, they have things out. They have a facility out there called the Pentagon of the Pacific. It is a building that you could literally run the entire country from this one room. I've been there. So for the intelligence gathering and all of the satellites and all of the stuff that you think that you're like, oh, that exists. It's all over the islands. They're all up in the mountains. So for the Russians to be out there just willy-nilly, just hanging off the coast of Hawaii, they're not out there getting a tan. They're trying to figure out what we're doing. They're trying to watch what we're doing, watch our training exercises. They can see when our ships are going out, what ships are gone, what ships are at port. That is something strategic that you would want to know. If I'm looking for an opportunity as an adversary to attack you, I'm looking to try to find patterns. If I find a pattern of weakness, when I know that you're going to have so many ships that are going to be located at port, i.e. Pearl Harbor, Japan, 1940, like that whole thing, there was getting intelligence, knowing where stuff is, things so you can know when to attack, when not to attack. If there's a bunch of ships there and you have a bunch of sailors and a bunch of troops, we know we're going to have a lot of resistance there potentially. So maybe let's wait till they're out to sea, then we'll attack. There's a lot of intelligence gathering. Not only that, do we remember the Cold War? Russia put a bunch of nuclear stuff down there and was it Guam? Not Guam, Puerto Rico. Oh, my Cold War
Cuba.
knowledge is coming. Cuba. So we sent all the stuff down to Cuba. So where are they going right now? They're going back down to Cuba. So if you don't think if the writing is on the wall, the writing is not only on the wall, it's on the toilet, it's on the mirror, it's on your handkerchief, it's on the floor, it's on the door. We're there. We're there. And for them to say this isn't a problem, this isn't something.
It's a huge fucking problem. The only reason it's not a problem is because Biden put us there, and we've got to save face as much as we can for the Joe Biden regime. Speaking of Joe Biden regime, he's actually shitting himself. And we saw this on Veterans Day, which has sparked a new trend that I want to close out with real quick. And then we're going to go to this Nancy Pelosi Space Force thing. So bear with me. This is going to be a fast 8 minutes. This is do the Biden montage. Check this out. For those of you just listening, it's a bunch of moms, random moms on boats or in restaurants doing the Biden, which is the sit and do the toddler shit type thing. I'm making fun of Biden on Memorial Day. It's just hilarious, though. To be honest with you, the montage is a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be. This is pretty funny. So I will say this, though. The Irish Star. And you guys know I love these obscure news things from around the world because I like to get the world perspective of things. Did Joe Biden poop himself? And what really happened explained by body language expert. So the Irish Star News says Joe Biden was captured during an event held in honor of D-Day soldiers alongside French President Emmanuel Macron in the pose that made some people think that he may have had an unfortunate accident. The position sparked speculation on Twitter or X that the president might have soiled himself. The movement of the leader, whose son Hunter Biden is currently facing court, had X users' tongues wagging. One wrote, "President Biden just pooped himself. This is the exact same motion my toddler makes. Too bad it was on stage at the D-Day ceremony in Normandy." Another X user, D. Wellington, responded to @AJA Cortez post humorously suggesting that D-Day could now stand for Defecation Day. That's a little bit irreverent. Now a body language expert has analyzed the moment exclusively for the Irish Star, the explained moment and whether the speculation may be true. She said the president does look unsteady and his strange pose when sitting down could be all attributed to, Judy said, "My take on it would be that he does not look rather unsteady and confused, shaking hands with Macron and appearing to flinch or jolt slightly as the French president also pats him on the back. Biden then seems to assume that he should sit down. obviously to the fact that Macrons are still standing to the attention beside him. The partial crouch that he holds for quite a long time does resemble the action or pose that older people often use when sitting down, when the joints and limbs aren't quite as fluid as they used to be. So there you go. That's coming from there. She doesn't think that that he defecated himself. Rather, he's just old and senile, which then goes to my point. He has no business leading us into nuclear World War III. We'll leave it at that. Nancy Pelosi this week admitted to knowing about the National Guard in January 6th. Now, if you remember a few years ago, when I had used my first time journalism skills to find officers who were actually on the ground during January 6th, an actual supervisor from Capitol Police on the ground. And I was able to do some independent journalism there. And his takeaway very quickly, I mean, 3 or 4 days after January 6th, and you guys remember that episode, some of you do, where he told us that they had begged for National Guard and for additional police officers from DC Metro, National Guard, and to call in their reserve units, all which 5 weeks leading up to it, Nancy Pelosi week after week sent memos, which we showed you copies of, denying those requests. So the fact that we even give a fuck about it now and not then is a little bit crazy to me, because here on this show, as C- student, as ridiculous as we can be, I still told you, Tanstradamus told you, actually it wasn't Tanstradamus at the time, that wasn't a prediction, that was actual facts, that we knew Nancy Pelosi did not, for whatever reason. Here we go, play the clip.
Responsibility, Terry. We did not have any accountability for what was going on there, and we should have. This is ridiculous. You're going to ask me in the middle of the thing when they've already breached the inaugural stuff that should we call the Capitol Police? I mean, the National Guard? Why weren't the National Guard there to begin with? She's in the back of an armored SUV. Leaving a parking garage. They thought that they had sufficient resources. No, there's not a question of how they had, but they don't know. They clearly didn't know, and I take responsibility for not having
this is leaked footage,
prepared for more.
All right, play the other one. Play the CNN one.
The fact is that the President of the United States, the former president, and his toadies do not want to face the facts. They're trying to do revisionist history on January 6th. But we cannot let us be dragged into their, again, false impression of what happened that day. They know what happened that day.
So again,
now,
just
go ahead.
Just so everyone can see.
We did not have any accountability for what was going on there. And we
okay, those are her words back to back. I just want to get those back to back words of okay.
Yeah.
When they get to the point where they're telling you in the news, don't believe exactly what you're seeing with your own eyes, you have a problem with the news. The news is no longer news. It's propaganda. It's beyond propaganda. I question how far back, when was the switch, or was it always propaganda? But they're telling you, she's on the news within 24 hours of this video coming out, telling you, hey, they're trying to rewrite history.
Yeah.
What? No, you deleted evidence. You deleted files. You wouldn't let people testify that wanted to testify that would refute evidence. You have people that have perjured themselves on the stand multiple times that we can put them in a position of the building that is not, they said they're in building A and they're in building F. They're not even in the same freaking building that they're saying in multiple times. So you want to talk about rewriting history? You're not trying to rewrite it. You're trying to write a narrative of what happened versus the facts of what happened are totally different. And you have a problem with that. It's because it's coming out. It's because it's coming out and you're going to be held accountable for that. Maybe, I don't know. Hopefully.
As she should be. I one of the things that I take away from that video is that she's wearing a Ukraine flag pin and not an American flag pin. If you're a politician of the United States, you should always have an American flag pin on. And then that's it. That's final. I mean, I don't think there's any reason to have any other nation's flag. If you are a United States politician, there is no reason under any circumstance ever why you should be wearing any flag but the United States flag. And if you really want to push it, then put the other flag underneath the American flag, or don't wear it at all. I would just not wear it at all. I fight for the United States. I know there was a time where the Afghan flag patch, a couple of guys in my squad were rocking an Afghan unit patch or whether, and I said, fuck no, I'm not doing that. I'm not fighting on behalf of Afghanistan. I'm fighting on behalf of the United States. I don't care if the United States is like doing whatever they're gonna fucking do, but I'm a fucking American. I'm not an Afghan. I'm not putting that flag on my shoulder. That's not the country that I represent. And I never did. And I never wore it. And I think the rest of the guys didn't do it either after that. I think they were like, I guess Tansy's probably right on this one, as wild of a man as he is. Brandon from C Florida says people are in solitary for this atrocity the potential Nancy Pelosi has done. Yeah, which is bizarre to held not being able to face their accusers, and there's just so many things wrong with the people that are being detained for the January 6th thing, which is crazy. And the fact that Biden is probably going to pardon his son, I'd have to imagine, at least in the tax scandal he's going to face here in California. Maybe he lets him hold guilty and does some kind of like house arrest thing for the crack thing. But Hunter Biden's not going to see a jail cell ever. And he's going to get pardoned, but he won't. But they won't even get a fair and speedy trial for these guys wrapped up with the January 6th stuff. So Loren says that's like me wearing a Wells Fargo pen. I mean, look, you got a job, you got to wear your flair. You know what I mean? I understand you got to wear your flair, but I think if you're a politician, the only flair you should have is something from the good old USA. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys for being here. A lot of things happening here on the network coming in July. New website, new Discord channel. The website's going to incorporate all of the podcasts. New YouTube channel that's going to incorporate all of the podcasts, and we're going to get cranking. But it takes time, right? All these things have to get built out. So right now there's a lot of things in the work. We're shuffling shows around. Some people are coming, some people are going. And so lots of things to just stay by, but it's all for the better of the show and for the shows to grow. And that's how you do things. That's how you run a business. But the show always goes on, and the show always has to get better, and it always has to improve. And that's what we're working for. By the way, I know that there's a farewell coming from somebody on the network that's going back into law enforcement. I don't know if they broke that last night or not. Did they break it?
Nope.
Last night or Monday or any of those days? All right. So that I'll let them break it themselves. It'll probably be next week sometime. Before that comes, obviously we love them and they will still be around, but I'm never going to fault anybody on this channel for going back into law enforcement. So, and I understand that you can't podcast on a show like this if you're going to be active law enforcement. So, but just get ready for those changes and just know there's no background drama behind any of that stuff. There's nothing crazy going on the network. There's no big moves. I'm not firing anybody. I think every host on this channel is amazing. And if anything, we're just trying to make everybody better and to get going. So those changes aren't from any kind of drama or anything like that. It's literally somebody wants to pursue a career and podcasting takes up so much time and it takes up a lot of energy. It's not just sitting down here running your suck. All these things have to be researched, fact checked. You got to kind of figure out what you're going to say and line it up. None of that is easy. And then you got to stress out all week about what you said, because you got to deal with all the messages and the comments and the backlash and the good and the bad. So it is a full-time job, even if you're doing one podcast, and we probably have 8 on this whole channel, on the whole network. We have 8 that we have to manage. So a lot going on. And of course we want to grow those things. So for myself, Dead Leg Media, by the way, Conservative Ant is, you can go follow him on social media. He is in Texas, and you can go follow what he's doing. Again, political season. He's a political commentator, so we're not going to get him every week. You guys know that, but follow his journey, and you can see all the things that he's got going on and doing. From myself, from Dead Leg Media and the Failure Shop Podcast Network, make sure you go check out Anti-Hero Podcast, 2 Cops, 1 Donut Podcast, Donut Shop Podcast, Forever Road Podcast, One More and I'm Out of Here Podcast, Things Police Officers See. Go check out the new YouTube channel, Rad Kids Club. Have your kids watch it. Hit that like and subscribe. Hit the like and subscribe for this show. Give us a 5-star rating and review on iTunes and Spotify. Again, guys, guns up. Giddy up. Take us out.
See ya.